Hi friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. So we will continue our discussion on the line of Saturn. So before we'll start our journey, a quick recap of all what we have studied so far. So like the way it has been believed that these mounts placed at the bottom of your fingers, these puffed portions. So this is the index finger, which is associated with planet Jupiter, and the portion at the bottom of it, this is known as the mount, which is very important. This is the powerhouse of the all energy and the current, which supplies the current to the whole fingers and to the whole hand. So a Jupiterian person, this is the mount of Jupiter, could relate and could just get into too much of spirituality and righteousness and desire to rise to a position of power. This would remain to be an archetype personality of a Jupiterian person. Same is the way the archetype personality of an Apollonian person. So this is the ring finger. And at the bottom of this puffed portion is known as the mount of Apollo. So this person who would have a prominent mount of sun, who would have a long ring finger, would take too much interest in art and creativity. But when it comes to knowing the details of someone's life, you need to scrutinize these lines. These lines not only tell about your life path, but also tells about the details of your life. So now comes the question, how these lines in the hand get formed. So like the way I've been telling this thing repeatedly in all of my videos, these lines get formed because of the three reasons. First remains to be the soul, the past life deeds, because the soul never dies, it carries the account of the past life deeds. Second remains to be the the fetal environment which a mother gets at the time of the conception. And third remains to be the genetics, the kind of traits which we inherit from our parents and from our ancestors. So we have discussed all of that. Any line gets judged on the four principle. First means to be from where the line is beginning, originating. Second is where that line is terminating. Third is any forks or branches on that line. And lastly, the presence of any special signs and symbols on that particular line which we are studying. So we have discussed all of that. Now coming to this line in particular. So the line which we are studying is the line of Saturn, which is also known by many names. Like this line of Saturn is also known as fate line, the wealth line, destiny line, security line. So what all are the traits chiefly associated with this line? So you need to understand that this is the only line which tells about your material prospects. From the material standpoint of view, this line tells a lot of information, like whether you will have your own way in this life, whether you will forge ahead attaining all the material gains with the help of a family member or with the help of outside people in your community. So all that it gets seen from this line. So your heart line, this is a heart line, this tells about your emotions. This is the headline which tells about your mentality. Lifeline tells about your physical constitution, about your health and stamina. But fate line is the only line which tells about your work environment. So anything related to a promotion, you buying a new home, you buying a new car, all that gets seen from this line. This line is so important that any shift in this line will will reflect in the form of change in your lifestyle, change in your job, change in your thinking pattern. So this line, which is also known as Indira Rekha in Hindu palmistry, has given a lot of significance, because this line tells about the major events of your life. So in conjunction with the lifeline, fate line also tells about the major events of your life, and in terms of the material and wealth prospect, this line holds paramount importance. So from where does this line origin, or where can this line be formed? So you need to understand that there can be as many as 2, 3, 4 line of Saturn or fate line present in your hand. The only way to judge it is any line going towards or pointing towards the middle finger. So even this would be known in my hand, even this is my middle finger. So even any line, so like this line would also be known as the line of Saturn. This line would also be known as line of Saturn, and this in any case is an archetype example of the line of Saturn. So here on this diagram, this can also be a line of Saturn, this can also be a line of Saturn, this can also be a line of Saturn. So a hand can have as many as 2, 3, 4 line of Saturns present on it. So now coming to the point, like the way I've been saying, like that every line gets judged on 4 principles: on the origin, termination, branches, and the presence of signs and symbols. So at this particular point of time, we are going to discuss the beginning of the line of Saturn. What kind of difference will it create? So before we'll start discussing that, you also need to understand that many times what happens is, this line tells about the most productive years of your life, the most easily harvesting period, when all things would favor you. The circumstances, you will have a good health, you will have a good state of mind, circumstances, outside people, everything will come to handy to you in order to achieve your goals. So that is the only reason old palmist relate it with the fate or fortune, so that because they thought that just because this person is facing very not facing any difficulty or very easily, this person is fulfilling his accomplishing his goals. So that is the only reason people, old palmists, declared that as a good luck sign. Although the whole thing comes down to how much efforts an individual is putting. So during someone's very good productive years, when the fate line is in a very immaculate, in a very good state, someone who put his best efforts, and there would remain to be another person who just remain in the luxuries of the life, who did not put any effort. So when the luck would start waning away, when the fate line would get distorted, so that person who has already worked hard would reap the best of the results. So that is the only reason our hand is a life map which guide us for the achievement of the best results. It doesn't give us a license to be negligent. So same is the case with the line of Saturn as well. So, and we have also discussed that the absence of the line of Saturn doesn't mean that someone is unlucky or someone would have too much of disappointment. This would just only mean that if the line of Saturn is absent in someone's hand, that this person would forge ahead in his life due to his own efforts. He would create his own destiny, and that would remain to be a case when this person will not hesitate when grabbing any single opportunity which could reap him good results or which could reap him success, rather than just completely dependent remaining dependent on the circumstances or the fortune or on the other people's help. So now coming to the beginning of the line of Saturn. So like the way I've been saying, that the line of Saturn can begin from anywhere, but the origin creates a lot of difference in a thought process, in a person's pursuit of achieving success and get material gain. So the first case is when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating so our first case is when you'll find First case is when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the Mount of Venus. So what is Mount of Venus? This is our Mount of Venus. Mount of Venus represents, appreciation for art and beauty. It tells about your sympathy, about your graciousness. It tells about your sexual vitality, about your sexuality. And lastly, this is the domain of your family. Your brother, your sister, your father, your mother, all are get seen from here. So this Mount of Venus primarily chiefly represents your family. So any point of time you will find the line of Saturn, the fate line, to be originating from here. So this just tells about that this person will get good support from his family members. So like the way I have been saying this thing repeatedly, that the line of Saturn chiefly tells about your material prospects, about your financial prospects. So whenever you will find the line of Saturn to be originating from inside the Mount of the Venus, so this is an ideal case that the person will get the support of his family members, whether in the form of person inheriting his family business, whether the person being funded by his family members, being financed by his family members, whether his brother or sister advising him, or working as a partner in all of his business interests. So this would remain to be an ideal case. Whenever you will find the line of Saturn to be originating from the Mount of Venus, this person not only cares for his family, but his family also cares for him, and in terms of his finances and his business and his service will have a major say of his family members. So that is the case with when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the Mount of Venus. Now second in the series is when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the Mount of the Moon. So this is the Mount of the Moon, and you will find the line of Saturn to be originating from here. Trust me on this, in my personal experience, this is the best kind of placement. This is the best kind of origin for the line of Saturn to have in anyone's hand. Why? What makes me say that? Because see, this is our Mount of the Moon, Mount of Luna. What does it represent? This tells about your imaginativeness. This tells about your thinking process. This is also the domain of travel, the foreign settlement. This is also the domain of your, imaginativeness and the other people in your life. So what happens is whenever you will find this line of Saturn to be originating from here, and Mount of Moon also represents public. So this remains to be a case when this person will get good support of the people. For his success, for all of his material prospect, this person will get support of the outside people. So this is an ideal case where all those people working in the PR department, or or in the sales, wheresoever the public support is required, even in the politics. So that would remain to be an ideal case for a person to get success in all those endeavors. And lastly, as like the way I've been saying this thing, that this also represents foreign travel and foreign settlement. So that might be a case that this person would get success in foreign land. This person would travel a lot, and let's say if this person is someone who is into artistic business, or someone who's like associated with the creative business, so this person will have very good imagination as well. So I considered this origin of the line of Saturn best, because this person will also get the support of the opposite sex as well. I've seen personally in the hands of many people and many friends of mine who have their line originating from here, and they get good support of the opposite sex as well. So whether in their in the form of their work colleagues, whether in the form of their wife, whether in the form of their friends. But this is an ideal state for the line of Saturn to originate. This just tells about someone being good in terms of his imagination, doing good in creative business, someone doing very good where public support is required, someone doing good in foreign land, the business of import and export, and lastly the good support of the opposite gender as well. Next in the series is when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the mount of the Mars. So this is this plane, this from here till here, this is our plane of Mars. So any point of time you will find the line of Saturn to be either originating from the inner Mars. This is our inner Mars. So in my hand, let's say this is the inner Mars, this portion is inner Mars, which tells about Mars, which represents courage and energy and assertiveness. So whenever you will find the line of Saturn to be originating from the inner Mars, this tells about, as like the way I've been saying, this is our physical strength, and this is our outer Mars. Mars is the only planet in Palmistry which has been allotted 2 regions. So this whole area is the plane of the Mars. This is inner Mars, which tells about your physical strength. This is the outer Mars, which tells about your mental strength. So any point of time you will find the line of Saturn, the fate line, originating from any of the plane of the Mars, whether it's outer Mars, whether from the inner Mars, or whether straight from the plane of the Mars. This just tells about someone being too hardworking, someone being too determined, someone who has a good sense of purpose. And lastly, what has been written in the all across the world in all the books of palmistry, that this represents success attained after struggle. But that remains to be an assurity that if this person would remain to be an archetype Martian person with good prominent mount of the Mars, good headline, good and long and firm thumb, so this would remain to be the case that this person, no matter how much hardship and struggle he will face, but he will ultimately attain success because of his good determination and strong sense of purpose. Next in the series is when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the lifeline itself. So something like this. So this just tells about someone who would be self-made. He will have attachment with the family, he will care for his parents, but this just tells about someone making his life with his own efforts, someone who would not like the way we have discussed when the line was originating from inside the lifeline, from the mount of the Venus. So here the case is different. The line of Saturn, the fate line, is originating from the lifeline itself. It is not going deep inside. So this just tells about an ideal state where the person would create his own destiny by his own efforts. That might be the case that the person would start his own business, start his own venture, and will succeed in that, because any line originating upwards from the lifeline is considered as very positive. So in many texts it has also been written that the ideal time is 24 years of age when someone's fate fortune awakened. And this point of time you need to age the lines, like the way I have explained it at the time when I was teaching the lifeline, how to age the lines. So this remains to be the time of great fortune awakening, when this line would originate from the lifeline. And when I say fate awakening, I am not giving a license to be negligent. It is just remain to be the case then if this person would put forth his best efforts at this point of time, so the chances of meeting success would remain to be very heightened, and a very positive event can be expected at this point of time when the line of Saturn is originating from the lifeline. Next in the series is when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the headline. So this is our headline, which tells about our mentality, about our thinking process, about our memory, about our intelligence. So any point of time you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the headline. So this is an ideal state that this person would rise in the life due to his own talents, due to his own efforts. The only drawback in this case would remain to be, like the way I've been saying, the line of Saturn originates from here. The childhood on the line of Saturn gets mapped over here, and this remains to be the old age. So the only drawback is that this remains to be the time when he will have good smooth flow in all of his material pursuits. Before that, he has to put his own efforts, and he need to have his own sense of purpose rather than relying on the circumstances or other people. He need to carve his own destiny before this period. But at the time when the line is originating from the headline, which might come to be the time of 45 or 46 years of age, at this point of time, this person can expect, starting up of new work, a parallel business opening up, or having good smooth flow in the attainment of his goals and purposes, all the material goals and purposes. So this is how we can relate when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the headline. Next in the series is when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the heart line. So this is our heart line. So any point of time you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the heart line. This also tells about the same thing, success, being someone who has got the success and has a heightened possibility of getting a success in old age, although this person would remain to be very emotional, very religious, very spiritual and very righteous, because the line of Saturn, which tells about our sense of purpose, our determination, how we use our talents, how we conduct ourselves in the society, is getting the energy of the heart line, which tells about our emotions, the matters of the heart. So this person would in any case remains to be very emotional in the matters of the heart, but the only drawback in this placement of the line of Saturn is that this would indicate success, a smooth flow in attainment of success at an old age. So this is what the case when you'll find the line originating from the heart line. Next in the series is when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the center. So somewhere from here. So this is an ideal state, someone who is born with a sense of purpose, with a strong determination, and like the way I've been saying this thing in the introductory video, that this remain to be the case when this person will have a sense of touch of the divine, or some angels protecting him, and a sense of purpose with which he knows that he's born with, something which he needs to do, like the way it has been said in the palmistry and in astrology and all the meta sciences. What is karma? Karma is the lessons which the soul needs to learn in this lifetime. So with this people, they will remain very clear what do they want to achieve in this life, and this line is already associated with the planet Saturn, which is which indicates hard work, wisdom, and someone, a proper Saturnian person remain to be someone among those who get the responsibilities and shoulder responsibilities from a very early age, from a very early youth. So that would remain to be the case with this person when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the center close to the bracelet, from the bottom of the palm. Next in the series is when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the Rahu or Ketu mounts. So this is the the plane of this is the plane of Rahu and Ketu. We have the plane of Mars over here. This is the plane of Rahu, the shadow planet, the planet which represents sudden gain, the intuitive intelligence. There is also a difference between the intelligence. Rahu is a very intelligent planet. Rahu is a planet who just wants to have the material gain. The only problem is the Jupiterian person wants to get the money. The kind of money which he gets, the person feels satisfied. But the problem with Rahu is no matter how much the span of the magnitude of wealth which he can bestow in someone's life, but the only problem is the person still remain unsatisfied and contented. But the Rahu is a very intelligent planet. That is the only planet which in this day and age you need to have in a very strengthened position in your chart. This is the chief planet for the material wealth. People give significance to Jupiter and Mercury and all other signs, but trust me on this, when we are talking about the super wealth, so this is the only planet which has the capacity to bestow super wealth. If you have a Rahu in a very strengthened position in your chart as well as in your heart, so any point of time you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the plane of Rahu. So these remains to be the people who are very intelligent, who are very strong, and when it comes to attaining success and fulfilling all their material pursuit, all their material dreams and finances, so these remain to be the people who will not even hesitate, even opting for the diplomatic way. These people just know how to force the way ahead, how to diplomatically handle situation, how to win the contracts, how to win the tenders. So I personally give, from the material prospect, this placement of the origin of the line of Saturn as the second best. After the origin from the mount of the moon, this is the second best kind of the placement which I ascribe to the line of Saturn, the line of fate, to have. Next in the series is when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the plane of the Ketu. So this is our mount of Ketu. So what does the planet Ketu represent? Ketu represents enlightenment, it represents spirituality, it represents your moksha, and also it represents intense energy. So any point of time you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the mount of the Ketu. So first thing which you need to understand, that this is not an ideal state for material wealth. For material wealth, the plane of the Rahu is an ideal state. But this would just indicate someone being too righteous, too spiritual, too religious in all of his business dealings. And these people are amongst those who even take their mode of living, their business dealings, their finances as a worship of the god. So, and along with that, this could also indicate someone being inheriting some kind of the talent from the past life, because you need to understand that the planet Saturn is the planet of monitoring all of our actions. But when it comes to the account of our karmic connection and the past life connection, the planet Ketu takes the significance. So this would remain to be the case when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the mount of the Ketu. Next is when you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from the multiple starting points. Like the way I've already explained this thing, that there is no restriction for the line of Saturn to have in a single number on the palm. You can have as many as 3-4 line of Saturns present on your palm. So what will happen whenever you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating from various points? So let's say we have 2 line of Saturns, one originating from the plane of Rahu and the originating from the plane of mount of the Ketu, and we have one more line of Saturn originating from here, one from here, one from here. So this would just indicate monetary transaction and monetary gain from various pursuits. So this could be a person who would have multiple source of income. And when it comes to judging those state of income, so we can just get to know that just because one line is originating from the mount of the Venus, so this would just indicate that this person would have a proper say and participation on the family member in his earnings. One line is originating from the mount of the moon, so this would just also indicate that this person might be public's favorite when it comes to attaining money. And like the way I have already said, that when it comes to art and creativity, this is also making someone very imaginative as well. So in business, you need to be innovative in terms of your offering. This is also telling about good gain from the foreign import and export. Same ways, the one more line of Saturn originating from the headline just tell about heightened talents infused in someone's personality, which is automatically a positive sign in order to attain good wealth. Now last in the condition is what has been written in the Samudik Shastra, the Hindu scriptures dedicated to the science of palmistry, is that any point of time you'll find the line of Saturn to be originating in a fork state of combination. So something like this, line of Saturn is originating in a fork combination with one branch coming from the mount of the Venus. So what has been written in the books of palmistry is that this would remain to be a case when there remains to be a possibility that the subject has been adopted, or subject has spent his childhood in his relative's place, or this could also be a case when the subject's parents have got a very distorted or very unpleasing marital life. So whenever you need to do these kind of big predictions, you need to check the condition of the overall hand. We do the analysis in a comprehensive way. A straight headline could also make someone a scientist, and in an afflicted state could also make someone a stalker, an obsessive stalker. So the analysis is done in a comprehensive way. So I hope I made myself very clear in this video. For further more updates and notification on palmistry, please subscribe my channel and like my Facebook page. Thanks.